If you've been scrolling through endless rows of 75-inch TVs and soundbars, wondering whether the hype actually translates into a night in that feels like a cinema, you're not alone. It's easy to get lost in the specs: mini LED panels, AI processing, 360-degree sound mapping, and still be unsure if any of that will make a real difference when you press play on that new series binge. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to break down the Sony BRAVIA 575-inch 4K mini LED TV paired with the HTA7100 7.9 speaker soundbar, focusing on the moments that matter, the dialogue you hear while watching a drama, the bass that gives a thriller its punch, and whether the bundle actually upgrades a typical movie night for a living room that isn't a dedicated home theater. First off, let's talk about the kind of room this bundle is built for. A 75-inch screen already dominates a medium-sized living space, and Sony's mini LED technology promises brighter highlights and deeper blacks compared to a standard LED. In practice, that means you can sit a few rows back from the TV and still see the details in a dark scene without the picture washing out. The AI-driven processing does a decent job of upscaling lower-resolution content, so even older shows look sharper than they did on a regular 4K set. The visual side of the package is solid, but the real question for most buyers is whether the soundbar can keep up. The HTA7100 is marketed as ultimate surround sound with 360 spatial sound mapping. What that boils down to in a living room is a pair of upward-firing drivers that bounce sound off the ceiling and a side-firing array that tries to simulate side speakers. In a typical rectangular room with a standard 8-foot ceiling, the effect is noticeable but not theatrical. Dialogue in a sitcom stays centered and clear, even when there's background music. The soundbar's built-in dialogue enhancement mode lifts speech frequencies just enough that you don't have to keep the volume cranked to hear a whispered line. That's a practical win for anyone who watches a lot of dialogue-heavy content, like crime dramas or talk shows. Bass performance is where the bundle shows its limits. The 7.9 speaker system includes a modest subwoofer that sits on the floor or can be tucked behind a couch. It delivers a warm low end that adds punch to explosions and musical crescendos, but the impact fades quickly in a larger room. If your seating area is around 150,200 square feet, the sub's presence feels satisfying. In a bigger open-plan space, you'll notice a dip in low-frequency impact once the volume pushes past 70 dB. For a casual movie night with friends, the bass is good enough, but true home theater enthusiasts who want that deep, rumbling feel will likely need an add-on sub or a dedicated surround system. Connectivity is where Sony's ecosystem shines. The soundbar connects to the TV via a single HDMI EARC cable, which means you don't have to juggle separate audio cables for each device. All the TV's built-in apps Netflix, Disney+, Prime Video route their audio through the soundbar automatically. If you have a gaming console, a Blu-ray player, or a streaming stick, you simply plug them into the TV's HDMI ports and the soundbar picks up everything without extra setup. The remote is a shared one. The TV remote controls the volume and power of the soundbar, eliminating the need for a second handset. In my testing, the remote response was snappy, and there was no noticeable lag when adjusting volume during fast action scenes. One practical concern many buyers have is whether the soundbar's surround effect works in a room with furniture that blocks the side and upward drivers. I set up the bundle in a living room with a sectional sofa and a coffee table directly in front of the TV. The upward-firing speakers still managed to create a sense of height in a few key moments like rain on a window or a helicopter flying overhead, but the side-firing channels were partially muffled by the sofa back. The overall effect was still richer than the TV's built-in speakers, but the everywhere the best seat promise feels a bit optimistic for a room that isn't an open space. If you're a streamer who relies on the TV's built-in apps, you'll appreciate the AI picture engine that automatically adjusts brightness and contrast based on the content. It's subtle, not a dramatic shift, but it helps keep HDR highlights from blowing out when you're watching a sports game in a brightly lit room. The TV's mini LED panel also handles glare better than a typical LCD, so you can place it near a window without worrying about washed-out colors during daytime viewing. Now, who should buy this bundle and who should walk away? If you already own a decent TV and are mainly looking for a sound upgrade, the HTA7100 on its own could be a worthwhile addition, but you'll be paying for the TV's premium price as part of the bundle. If you're in the market for a new,